Hello, good evening, and welcome again to episode number 73 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. I'm your host, Joe Lenny Pavlon. Justin Hebert is with
Yep.
me, and we'll have Austin LaPlante join later tonight.
Yep.
He is running late as usual.
Yep.
And what a race weekend that
Yep.
was.
Yep.
One memorable Indy 500 yesterday.
Yep. Yeah, really interesting.
And Indianapolis 500 was ran on August 23rd.
Yeah.
With no fans. We're going to look back at this for a long time and say this is what happened in 2020.
But today is August 24th. The actual Indy 500 would have been exactly 3 months ago today. On May 24th was the original date, but they moved it to August, which was interesting.
How's that for facts?
Yep.
It's pretty crazy. Well,
yep.
Get more into the Indy 500 a little bit on later. As Takuma Sato, of course, if you watched yesterday, Takuma Sato scored his second Indy 500 win for two different teams. He first did it in 2017 for Michael Andretti. Now he delivers his second win driving for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. That's the second time the team has an Indy 500 win. It was actually 16 years ago when Buddy Rice won for them.
Yep.
Obviously, the team owner, Bobby Rahal, won it as a driver in 1986. So with that said, let's start off with some NASCAR recap. Obviously, we had the two Dover races, the driving three rounds 24 and 25 of 36.
Yep.
So race one happened on Saturday. Denny Hamlin won stage one, stage two, led 115 laps. Started second. It was his 43rd career win. He just dominated everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, like, the thing about Denny Hamlin, people are blaming Eric Almirola for blocking the 19, but the thing was, if you're lapping a car, you should be able to pass him easily. Truex just kept struggling to pass Almirola, but it was not just Almirola. At the end, Truex was so loose off the corners, which killed him on the straights. Like, you saw how loose he was. Which, that's how Hamlin started closing in and eventually passed him.
That's what led to Hamlin getting that win. It's his sixth win of 2020, second winningest driver of the season. But looking down the list, Martin Truex Jr., Hamlin's teammate, led 8 laps, started third, finished in the second spot. Kyle Busch, who led 3 laps, from 22nd off the drawing board on the grid, of course, which is what they do in 2020. Busch finishes third, a very important third-place finish. Kevin Harvick finished in fourth after starting 10th. We'll get more to him later when we talk about race 2. Chase Elliott, who drew pole, led 27 laps. He finished in the 5th spot. Clint Bowyer, a very important 6th-place finish. Jimmy Johnson finishing in the 7th spot. Finishing 8th was Joey Logano. Brad Keselowski, who led 9 laps after starting 7th, finished in the 9th spot. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. led 1 lap and finished 10th. Austin Dillon led 49 laps, started 32nd. He finished 15th. It was his first race since being removed from the track after being tested positive for COVID-19.
Yeah.
So that's a great return, to say the least. Matt DiBenedetto led 17 laps, finished 20th.
Yeah, DiBenedetto did not have one of the best weekends. He could have had a better weekend, but it's just like...
he needed something better than 20th.
Yeah, and there's other drivers that had horrible weekends. Like, that race on Saturday, many drivers, like, not many, but, like, different drivers. Like, if you don't know what happened with some of the Hendrick guys, 2 of their cars were not performing the best. Alex Bowman was one of them, who finished 21st with the damage after when Eric Jones got in the Kurt Busch. William Byron, he had a horrible race. Finished 29th, 3 laps down. He was mad after the car, and his car was ill handling on Saturday.
That race was important for Byron to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, and Chad Knaus tried everything to adjust the car. The car was not driving well, and
No.
the people would be shocked who got last. Kurt Busch.
Right, Kurt Busch was involved in the first caution.
After Eric Jones. Yeah, he made contact, and Eric Jones spun Kurt Busch, which damaged his car, and out of the race on lap 6.
All right, let's move on to race 2 of the Dover weekend, and that was all Kevin Harvick. Won stage 1. Stage 2 led 225 laps from 17th off the grid. His 56th career win. So now that puts Harvick 9th on the all-time wins list, tying Kyle Busch with 56 career NASCAR Cup Series.
It's also interesting if people don't know what's going on with these double headers. I've noticed some of these double headers, it's been Harvick and Hamlin winning them. It's kind of interesting. Remember Darlington? Harvick won the first one, then Hamlin. Charlotte was different. That was the only exception. Other than that, Pocono, Harvick, then Hamlin. Then after that what was the next doubleheader after that? Michigan. Well, except that wouldn't also, but then Dover, it's Harvick and Hamlin. It's either Harvick or Hamlin winning the doubleheaders. It's except the Charlotte one, but other than that, Harvick dominated. He won all 3. He swept the stages and won the race. Yeah, Harvick, he's going to be hard to beat this season.
Very tough to beat. Very consistent. Yeah. Kevin Harvick obviously clinched the regular season title with victory in race 2. Let's go down the list, though. Martin Truex Jr., another second-place finish for the 3-time winner at Dover, starting in the 19th spot. Jimmy Johnson, a very important third. Johnson led 3 laps, started 14th, finished in the 3rd spot, finishing 4th. William Byron, another important finish. Obviously, it would have been a lot more monumental if he had that decent race 1 finish. Yeah. Nonetheless, Byron finishing 4th. Alex Bowman, Hendrick 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Well, they really did good compared to where they were Saturday. The 24 finishing 29th, the 88 21st, but they rebounded really well. Those 2 cars, Alex Bowman, started all the way in the rear in P37 in a backup car and made it through to get a top 5, which is impressive for Dover. Yeah.
All right, looking down the list, obviously, Joey Logano, 2 top 10s in the weekend, finishing 6th. He led 15 laps, started in 13th. Eric Almirola led 22 laps, finished in 7th. Brad Keselowski, 8th. Austin Dillon, 9th, and Cole Custer round out the top 10. And here's some of the notables outside the top 10. Ryan Blaney led 37 laps, started 7th, finished in 12th. Matt DiBenedetto, who drew pole, led 11 laps, finished in 17th, and not what he needed. Denny Hamlin, Saturday's winner, finished 19th. And Chase Elliott retired just 9 laps into the race, crashing into Kyle Busch on the front stretch.
Yeah. People were mad.
I think Chase Elliott, luckily, that's a mulligan for him, but other drivers like Matt
DiBenedetto,
is not a
mulligan. Remember
bad, really bad.
Yeah. Well, Joseph, remember before Dover, Matt DiBenedetto was plus 42 before Dover? He's currently plus 9. He's plus 9.
Yeah.
So he lost.
Let's look at the playoff standings.
Yeah.
Obviously, Kevin Harvick, regular season champion. That's all locked up. 7 total. Denny, 6 wins, sits in the 2nd spot. Brian Keselowski is 3rd with 3 wins, and then Chase Elliott and Joey Logano 2 wins apiece. And then from 6th to 10th, these drivers have 1 win. Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex Jr., and Austin Dillon. And then from 11th to 13th, these drivers are locked into the playoffs based off points. Eric Almirola, Kyle Busch, and Kurt Busch will be in off points. So that leaves 14th through 16th as guaranteed. Even a guy like Clint Boyer, plus 57 above the cut line, is not able to get in.
Yeah.
Likely more that he will, based off circumstances at Daytona.
Yeah.
Matt DiBenedetto, this is the real deal here. Matt DiBenedetto, plus 9 above the cut line.
Ooh.
William Byron on the last spot. And then let's go beneath here, just off from 17th to 20th. Jimmy Johnson, minus 4. Eric Jones, minus 50. Ty Reddick behind 69 points, and behind 176 points is Christopher Bell. So basically, Eric Jones and Jimmy Johnson can get in the playoffs without having to finish first in the race.
But
well, maybe for Johnson it will be a little easier than Eric Jones.
But the thing is, I think I've seen people just without a win but getting stage points. The most that Eric Jones could get is 48 points. If he's 50, he will still be minus 2. That's the thing. But the people say that there's no chance of both 100 cars being in the playoffs. There is the chance of the 21. I told them.
All it takes is 21 to get in the big one.
Yeah, like plus 9 is not a lot. like people say that like being plus 9 is not safe at all. If you're like Clint Boyer right now, you're kind of safe, but you're not.
We will talk more about the NASCAR playoffs when we preview the Daytona weekend later on in the podcast.
Yeah.
All right. With that said, the next race obviously will be Daytona, 400 miles to the Coke Zero 400 at Daytona, round 26 of 36. It'll be the regular season finale. We'll get into those drivers who are able to get in the playoffs. It's going to be a wild card fest, to say the least.
Yeah.
That race obviously will be in prime time Saturday night.
On not a basic sports, on a basic network that people have, NBC.
Yes. All right. So we're going to start getting to the Xfinity Series. Austin LaPlante's going to join us. All right, Austin. Stage is yours.
Hello. You guys hearing me well?
Yeah.
No problems?
All right. Welcome, Austin.
You need
So,
to
yeah.
very clear, Joseph. There's some lagging on your side of the on the podcast right now.
All right. I guess I might go without a camera.
Okay.
If something changes with the quality, whether that's audio or video, then you guys just tell me.
Yeah.
Let's get into the Xfinity Series. Austin, obviously you saw the Cup races. It turned out that these two drivers, the two best drivers in the 2020 season, had their share of victory lane. But in the Xfinity side of things, we saw a taste of two what do you call them, servings? You know, you go to a restaurant, they give you like, oh, if you come here, you can taste this cheese stick for free. You call that? Yes, you get an appetizer of what the Xfinity Series has to offer in the playoffs. Obviously. Danny, how's it going?
I'm good.
All right,
you guys can hear me fully?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, we had two Dover races, rounds 20 and 21 of 33. Now they, unlike the Cup Series, still have about, I think it's 5 races left of their regular season.
I think it's I'm calculating.
5 races. Daytona, Darlington, Richmond, Bristol.
Yeah. 5 races left.
Right. So it's a different circumstance for that series.
Yeah.
Race 1, obviously, we'll get into race 1 and we'll talk about race 2 in just a minute. But race 1 was Justin Allgaier, who won stage 2, led 120 laps from the 5th spot. That's his 12th career win, first of 2020. The third win for Junior Motorsports this year.
Yep.
Austin Cindric, who won stage 1, led 49 laps from the pole, finishing second. Ross Chastain finished third. Noah Gragson finished in the 4th spot, leading 20. And 5th, Harrison Burton doing a very decent job at Dover. Talk about a first-time effort there. He started 6th, so basically ran where he started. Jeb Burton finished in 7th, 20 spots ahead of where he started in 27th. Justin Haley, 8th, Michael Annett, 9th, and Chase Briscoe rounded out the top 10. And at 14th, Brandon Brown led 4 laps. Now, Brandon Brown is one of those drivers that can definitely benefit from a good run, especially when Daytona arrives. He's in the last spot in the playoffs. Brandon Brown, 14th. Now, let's look at race 2. Chase Briscoe. Won stage 2, led 107 laps, started 6th. That's his 8th career win, 6th of the season.
Yep.
Looking down in the second, Ross Chastain, double podiums. 3rd on race 1, 2nd in race 2. Chastain won stage 1, led 24 laps, started 13th. Austin Cindric led 1 lap, finished in 3rd. So, like Chastain, 2 double finishes 3rd or better.
Yep.
For Austin Cindric. Brandon Jones, who led 8 laps, finished in 4th. Daniel Hemrick round out the top 5. Still searching the first win, but it's going to happen someday.
Yeah.
In 6th, Noah Gragson. Gragson led 11 laps, started 12th. Justin Allgaier led 19 laps, but managed to finish 7th. Michael Annett, who led 5 laps, finished 8th. Riley Herbst, double top 10.
Yeah.
Brett Moffitt rounded out the top 10. Moffitt led 5 laps from the pole. And here's one notable driver. Justin Haley finished 12th after starting in 8th.
Yep.
So the next race will be Daytona for 250 miles this Friday night. Round 2 of 3. The Xfinity Series points is still Austin Cindric. He is pulling away Briscoe.
Yep.
And one thing I've noticed, looking at these points here, obviously, Noah Gragson, the highest Chevy in 3rd, not so ahead of Ross Chastain, but Justin Allgaier is almost 100 points apart from 3rd place, Noah Gragson in points. It seems very spread out with these increments. And who is the favorite to win the title, and who is just staying stable?
That is kind of hard to say. Like, so far you see the only 2 Fords in the field. They're the ones dominating. The Chevrolets have been there. The Toyotas recently have been not the best. Toyota's last win recently was Brandon Jones at Kansas. Yeah. Other than that, they've been up and down. They've been not doing the best not the best finishes compared to Chevrolets, but like there's different teams like Colleague, they're more consistent. Junior Motorsports, I don't know. Like some races, Allgaier's doing good. Like there's most races I see Gregson's doing good. Then the next race, Allgaier's doing better. Oh, then whoever drives the 8's doing better. Oh, then Michael Annett somehow gets up front. Like it's just so.
And that's really doing well in the top.
Yeah, he really is doing well.
Like it's like I see sometimes Hemrick doing good in the 8. Sometimes Jeb Burns randomly up there too. Like it's kind of hard to tell which team is doing good and which one's doing bad. There's some teams that are inconsistent with who's the better driver at their team. Like right. Penske and Haas is easily there's only one driver in one car. Junior Motorsports,
And I think
have
both
14.
teams are benefiting from having one driver in their car this season too.
Yeah, it's not like remember in 2018. Remember in 2018.
Chase Briscoe. When the Darlington Throwback Weekend comes around, we're going to see Chase Briscoe drive in the livery that Tony Stewart had, winning the championship, the first championship for Stewart Haas in the Cup Series. That was Tony's third and final title.
Yeah.
So thanks, Austin, for sharing that.
Spot on.
And also about the teams, remember Penske? 2018 was the first time Penske and Haas had the 98, those full-time cars with one driver was 2019. 2018, Austin Cindric drove for 3 different teams. Not 4 different. 3 different teams. He drove the 22.
2 teams, 3 different cars.
Yeah, he drove the 22 full-time, not full-time, but for the chase. The 60 car when Briscoe was not, and then the 12 car, and then Briscoe in 2018 drove the 60 and the 98, which the 98 was he performed better in the 98 than the 60. The 60 was not the best team.
No, Austin had a very shaky year. People actually were questioning: is NASCAR right for him? Should he just stick with sports car racing?
Yeah,
now look at where he is in Xfinity this year, just dominating the competition.
Remember Daytona? The first his.
Oh, he was it was people were saying, oh yeah, he's gonna wreck.
People, that was his second actual start because he ran 2017 Road America for Penske, but ended up blowing a tire
as a ringer.
Yeah, but the thing was about. He literally.
I think he just made a statement very clear this year. I can race and win on ovals. There you go. Weekend sweep.
Yeah, and then you see Chase Briscoe, who was not the best at. I knew Briscoe had talent in him, but I'm the 60 car, with Roush's 60 car, the 16 was kind of doing better.
They were dropping down.
The 60, you had Ty Majeski, Cindric, and also Briscoe in the car. They're splitting that car.
I do remember.
The 6 car ran 1 race in 2018 with Connor Daly.
So you got a whole thing of history, man.
Yep.
And then
Here's the thing. I think Austin Cindric needed time. A lot of people discredit the fact that just because you're in a top level car and in a series like the Xfinity or even Cup or wherever you are, that you're going to be outperforming everyone right off the bat as expected, or you're going to be a bust. But maybe you need a different team. Maybe you need a few years. Look at Austin Cindric. Look at Chase Briscoe. Here they are owning the series.
But there's also another driver that had the same issue in Cup. Joey Logano. He only got 2 wins at Joe Gibbs. When he started racing for Penske, he's been better at Penske than the JGR camp.
Joe Gibbs was we got no one to replace Tony Stewart in the 20s. Either keep the 20 or bring Logano. And they kept the 20, so they brought Logano in. And maybe it didn't work, but now look at Gibbs. I think it was a win-win situation looking long-term that Joe Gibbs Racing is now a full-fledged 4-car team, and Joey Logano is now a champion and a Daytona 500 winner competing for wins for Penske. All right, let's move on. I know we want to talk history, but let's get into some Truck Series racing. We had round 13 on Friday at Dover. For the Dover 200 was won by Zane Smith. Zane Smith won Stage 2, led 50 laps, started 7th. That's his second career win, and he's really showing everybody in the Truck Series he is a clear contender for this championship. Matt Crackton led a lap and finished second after starting 4th. Brett Moffitt led 50 laps from the pole, finishing 3rd. Todd Gilliland led 2 laps, finished in the 4th spot. 5th place was Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes, very consistent in 2020. Johnny Sauter will not continue that winning streak at Dover. He won the last 3 races until Friday, finishing 6th. And Obviously, Sauter's been having an up and down season.
Yeah.
Tyler Ingram, somewhat of an up and down year as well, needing those top 10s. Ingram finishing 7th. Points leader Austin Hill won stage 1, led 21 laps, started 3rd, finished in the 8th spot, finishing 9th. Stuart Friesen, a very important top 10, but he still needs more to get there. I think there's 3 races left into the playoffs for the trucks.
Bristol is the first playoff race for trucks. You have Gateway, Darlington, Richmond. So, 3 races left.
Yeah, I'm so glad they're going back to Darlington since 2011. That's going to be
awesome. It's going to be fun.
So, Stuart Friesen has been...
One more driver here. Actually, let me finish these results. We'll get into that conversation in a minute. Derek Kraus, very important top 10 for him. He's actually one of the drivers that needs those top finishes to point his way into the playoffs. Kraus led 9 laps, made it into the top 10. Christian Eckes, on the other hand, led 34 laps, started 9th, finished in the 11th spot. Cautions didn't fall in his favor. And Chandler Smith ran into trouble. Actually, racing Christian Eckes, Chandler Smith led 31 laps after starting 23rd. He finished 20th, many laps down.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's the truck series, like people are so confused of what Stuart Friesen's doing with his truck. Like he's not last year Stuart Friesen had a real good average finish and all that. Like
here's the thing, Stuart Friesen had lost many key benefits besides just the manufacturer change that has really set him back in 2020. They've benefited, obviously, like many teams, practice session, getting a qualifying run. Stuart Friesen had nothing of that after 2 races. Everything has been on points. And then looking at the schedule itself, losing Eldora was a huge blow. But luckily, everybody else is, if you're not named Stuart Friesen, not having an Eldora race is actually good for you. It allows one plus driver to make the playoffs off winning races.
Well, the thing about Stuart Friesen, he is good on the pave. I think it's the thing with lack of practice and the manufacturer change. Like, Toyota is different than Chevrolet. People think all the manufacturers are the same. No, they're not.
No.
Like, if you look at a Chevy engine in a truck and see a Toyota engine,
Ford runs
the same.
more.
Like, Ford's different also. Like, last season, Stuart Friesen's average was an 8.4 average start, 8.5 average finish. This year, average start of 18.2, average finish of 17.7. Yeah, that's...
Give it another year or 2, and he'll be back where he left off in 2019.
Like, it's just looking through some of this... People say, like, I'm just looking through these finishes.
Screw what people have to say, Justin. Let's just move on and look at the points.
Well, it's like...
Well,
like
what?
He has 2 DNFs. Every other race... How many lead lap finishes does he have?
I'm actually looking right here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5...
This is the first time
6,
Stuart
7.
Friesen had double top 10s in 2020. I just realized. So you're right.
7.
Rather than just blowing off your take there.
He has 7. 7 top 10s.
This is the first time that he actually had consistent top 10s in the season.
He has 7 races on the lead lap. Other 6, he's not on the lead lap. Like, there's just like I just don't know about Stuart Friesen. Like,
well, let's look at points though. I mean,
we'll see.
He is still 15th. Let's see. Austin Hill, of course, just in cruise control at this point. 550 points over Zane Smith, who was at 474.
Yep.
The margin's pretty big. Brett Moffitt, 468 points himself, and puts himself in 3rd.
There's a tie for 4th.
Yeah,
Ben Rhodes are tied. Tied.
Sheldon Creed, Matt Crafton, Grant Enfinger, Tyler Ankrum, and Todd Gillen are the 10 drivers. If it were to end now, they would be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And outside of that, of course, start with Derek Kraus. Now, Derek Kraus is at Daytona, the road course. The inexperience at road courses got the best of him. The end of his top 10 streak of 3 races, but getting another top 10.
Yeah.
Another top 10 is just it's vital towards him getting in there. The stage points are important too. He needs to get more of them. Also, Tanner Gray, obviously it's his first year. Still a lot of baby steps that he's taking. And then Johnny Sauter, probably the first surprise driver to be outside the 10-driver playoffs.
Yeah, at this point, he really does need to step up. And the question is, when is he going to step up?
Yeah, like also, which doesn't help Johnny Sauter. Next race is Gateway. But the thing is, remember what happened last year? Last year was the first time Johnny Sauter was racing with Thorsport and Ford. The problem about last year, Johnny Sauter got suspended after Iowa for the incident with Austin Hill. He couldn't race, so they had Mike Snyder drive the 13, which is because Sauter, I know he's good, but the thing is, racing at a track in a different sort of truck compared to before, because the track is still the same. Gateway has not changed, which is going to be good for some drivers, but Johnny Sauter that hasn't raced it,
he's not been too well at Gateway either.
Yeah, that's also a thing. But his finishes at Dover don't really... Dover! Gateway!
Talk more about Gateway actually a little bit later.
Yeah, like
podcast.
That doesn't help Sauter.
It won't be. I think it's going to always be interesting. You know, we have 3 races left. And they're all tracks. That'll be the Gateway 200. That's round 14 of 23. That's actually on a Sunday. One of the few times in the truck series that they have a scheduled race on Sunday.
Well, hopefully I could get to watch it this time.
All right, let's move on towards probably the greatest spectacle of racing in the month of August. Hopefully, the only time it happens in my lifetime. So
that sounds
100.
Yeah, it's kind of weird saying the month of August instead of the month of May.
Yes, the 104th running of the Indianapolis 500 was just yesterday.
Yep.
And as for the series, the IndyCar season, that's round 7 of 12, as what it is now. Of course, there's a few races that are left to be confirmed or rescheduled. That's what we have so far. But the 104th running of the Indy 500 was one to remember in 5 to 10 years.
Yep.
Hopefully in a time where the COVID-19 pandemic has nothing to do with current relevance. Takuma Sato, who won the 2017 Indianapolis 500, the ex-Formula One driver from Tokyo, Japan, who scored 1 career podium and now in his 10th IndyCar season, scores his 6th career win and the most special of them all, the second time for 2 different teams, an Indianapolis 500 win. This time, unlike driving for Michael Andretti, he does it for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. Takuma Sato scores his 2nd Indy 500 win after leading 27 laps from 3rd off the grid. He was in the front row of those 3 cars that had 231s in their qualifying times.
Whoa.
It sure did pay off.
I just realized something. Takuma Sato started 3rd, won the Indy 500. And of all numbers, it was 3 years after his last Indy 500 win also. It's kind of, I just realized, I'm like, whoa, it's been 3 years since he hasn't won the Indy 500. And starting 3rd. That's interesting.
Yeah. And as for the team, this is Bobby Rahal. Bobby Rahal's 2nd Indy 500 win as an owner. Yep. The last time it happened was when Buddy Rice won in 2004. And obviously Bobby Rahal won it himself as a driver in 1986.
Yeah.
So this was a long time coming for that camp, the RLL team.
Yep.
Let's look down the list. Scott Dixon, the 2008 winner of the 500, led 111 laps from from
second position.
Yep.
As for Scott Dixon, that's his 120th career podium, and he scores extra points for leading the most laps. He is the points leader as for the championship, but when it comes to the Indy 500, second place like that doesn't feel so good.
Yeah. At this point, he let's just put it this way: he had this race won until Sato passed him with 30 laps to go, and he just couldn't get the place to get past him, and Sato was just pulling away.
Yeah, which
Sato timed it right.
Yeah,
and on top of that, with 4 laps to go, Dixon was really trying to push, and then unfortunately the caution came out with Spencer Pigot and caused the end of the race there.
Yeah.
As for Spencer Pigot, he was transported to a local hospital, and upon latest reports, he has been released.
Yeah, which is a good thing. Like,
that was a scary hit.
Oh, hitting the pit.
That was a bad hit.
It's hitting the tire barrier. Like, people say the pit wall's hard, but the tire barrier that was there, like, at least there was a tire barrier there, because that would have been worse. But
and the halo.
Yeah, the halo really helped, because without it, because one of his wheels did fly off the car, because I'm glad he's okay after that impact, because that was a hard impact into the tire barrier.
Right, shows you the dynamic of racing, because his teammate ended up winning the race while he's in the ambulance. Let's look down the list. Obviously, Graham Rahal finished in 3rd, started 8th. That's for Rahal's Indy career. That's his IndyCar career. That's his 31st podium of his career. Santino Ferrucci led a lap and finished 4th. Joseph Newgarden finished 5th. Pato O'Ward finished 6th, started 15th. That's the Rookie of the Year for the 2020 Indy 500. James Hinchcliffe led a lap, finished 7th. Colton Herta led 1 lap, started in the 10th spot, finished in 8th. Jack Harvey 9th, and Ryan Hunter-Reay finished in 10th. Felix Rosenquist led 8 laps, finished in 12th. Zach Veach led 14 laps, finished in the 15th spot. Pagenaud led 14 laps as well, finished in 22nd. And Alexander Rossi, geez, he had a car to win. Led 7 laps, started 19th, retired, finishing 27th.
Yeah, and the thing about that Indy 500 was interesting, which there was moments that were like the passes when Dixon and Rossi kept going at it. Like, it's like, 1 lap, Dixon's lead, that Rossi's in the lead, then Dixon takes it again. It's like they were basically leapfrogging, and then Rossi ended up crashing out of the race. It's like also there's people that are one of the people were laughing about different things, including lap 4 incident, James Davison's brake rotor literally exploding. People said, Rick Ware's garbage. I'm like, 1, it's not just Rick Ware. That car was fielded by Dale Coyne. It's Dale Coyne prepared the car, but then you had Jonathan Bird, Rick Ware, and Brian Bellardi, the other owners, but Dale Coyne prepared that number 51 car.
The other 3, they provided fundings for James to be in the car.
Yeah, but Dale Coyne's the one that prepared the car, prepared it basically, but I'm glad that when I saw a fire, I'm like, whoa, people thought he hit the wall. No, the brake rotor, the right front brake rotor blew.
Right, that was very unfortunate.
Marcus Ericsson did not have a good race. He crashed out of the race. Alex Palou was actually doing good at one point, but DNF'd also. Rinus VK, he was
up front but ran into issues on pit road.
Don Kellett, he crashed out. Ed Carpenter had damage on lap 3. Remember, Ed Carpenter hit the wall after contact with Veach. got damaged, but ended up finishing 12 laps down, and he ended up finishing 12 laps behind because of it. He was the last car in the race. But, like, this, the Indy 500 was interesting. People making passes. People said at one point that Dixon had a 9-second lead, which was impressive until a caution.
The thing about Scott Dixon, that I don't think anything went wrong with Scott Dixon. To be honest, what happened was Takuma Sato was just a better driver.
Yeah, towards the end, Sato's car came really alive, basically.
Yeah, at this point, you got to give credit where credit's due, man. Takuma Sato drove the wheels off of that thing. Even though I really wanted Scott Dixon to win, I got to give it to Sato, man. He really did a good job out there.
Yeah, it was really a battle between two of the best drivers at Indy. I think everyone won except for the. I don't want to say people who won and who lost. Like mentally, I don't want to play that game, but like fans deserve to be there. I think we're gonna see racing in May with fans next year. Roger made that clear, and that's where everything's gonna go. But as for the IndyCar season this weekend, they'll be back to reality with the Gateway doubleheader that will be rounds 8 and 9 this weekend. As for IndyCar points, Scott Dixon is the points leader. He really increased with that race at Indy. Looking down the list, Joseph Newgarden is second, minus 84. Pato O'Ward, third, minus 117. Grant Rahal, minus 121 in fourth. And fifth, Simon Pagenaud, minus 123. So, very tough.
Yeah.
These drivers have to be on top of it.
Yeah, like Alexander Rossi, he's not doing good compared to usual. Like, he's not even doing good in the point standings. Like, people say he's good. I'm like, I know he is, but it's just like he's currently in the 14th position in points, ahead of Alex Palou and behind Jack Harvey. Yeah, he's just.
What about the races that were lost?
Yeah, that's true.
Look at this. The Barber Motorsport Park, Long Beach, Circuit of the Americas, of course, Belle Isle, the two races in Detroit, Toronto, Portland, Laguna Seca, they're off the table.
Like, yeah, that really doesn't help them.
All right, we'll get more in IndyCar later when we preview the upcoming races. So let's move on to supercars at the Darwin Supersprint. Obviously, they were at Darwin last week for the Darwin Triple Crown, which is a traditional race that is on the supercars calendar year in and year out. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic, other places in Australia were affected more than others in the country of Australia, depending on the state and territory you lived in. But it seemed like Northern Territory had very less when it comes to restrictions. I mean, we saw no masks, not a need for social distancing. And maybe there were protocols, but definitely not even half as enforced as what you see in America. But at the same time, Australia is in a different level when it comes to the virus.
And they were serious about it when it started also, which helps.
Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, they are really smart about it. Some places aren't.
And now we have fans in the stands. Again, it's great.
Yeah.
So, obviously, the three races happened and the Darwin Super Sprint. We'll get into each of them. That was round 6 of 13, or week 6 of 13, rounds 16, 17, and 18 of the race season in 2020.
Yeah.
All right. As for race 1, Scott McLaughlin. Scott McLaughlin led 16 laps after starting second, his 49th career win. Just another typical Scott McLaughlin win, made it look easy.
Yep.
Jamie Whincup finished in second, led 1 lap from the pole for his 245th career podium. Cam Waters started in 4th for his 12th career podium. James Courtney 4th, Nick Percat 5th, and Anton De Pasquale, who led 14 laps, finished in the 6th spot. Another easy-looking win, I guess. We've seen Scott do this many times. As for race 2 and race 3 were on Sunday. Race 1 was on Saturday. Race 2, Scott McLaughlin scored his 50th career win in Australian Supercars competition. McLaughlin started on pole, led a total of 18 laps. Big number 50 for probably one of the greatest New Zealand race car drivers in this era.
Yep. These guys are really stepping it up right now.
And he's only 27.
I know, right? He's got. I say he's got a lot more success ahead of him, and I would love to see.
Absolutely. Looking down the list, Shane Van Gisbergen finished in second after starting second. That was his 114th career podium. Actually, it says 114th or 111th. I can't even read what I wrote. I think it says 111th. I take that back. And Scott Pye, who led 20 laps. Geez, Scott Pye was really, really close from getting his second career win, but it's going to have to wait. He got his 9th career podium driving for Charles Schwartz in the DeWalt car. Fabian Coulthard started 6th, finished in 4th, and Cam Waters finishing in the 5th spot. So another decent run about those Fords. You know, they've been better in 2020. And race 3. Obviously, there were 3 races. Yeah, call it a Triple Crown. People say that even though it's the Darwin Supersprint, it had that same kind of feel to the Darwin Triple Crown. Scott McLaughlin, 3 for 3 this past weekend, leading 16 laps after starting second for his 51st career win. Nick Percat scored his 11th career podium after starting 4th, finishing second. And Scott Pye finished 3rd after starting 8th for his 10th career podium. Mark Winterbottom finished 4th. Frosty led 8 laps and started 3rd. And Shane Van Gisbergen, who led 10 laps from the pole, finished in 5th. So there's the results. And after 18 races, the standings look like this. Scott McLaughlin has the points lead of 13-24. That's 177 points over Jamie Whincup. Whincup has 1,147 points claimed so far. Shane Van Gisbergen has 979 points, so that's minus 345. Chaz Mosser is minus 352 with 972 points in 4th. And Nick Percat with 950 points, minus 409, is 5th in the standings. As for the team standings, the tables have turned once again. It's now the Shell V-Power DJR Team Penske Ford Mustangs back on top in the team's championship, 21-86 over 21-26, which is the amount of points that Triple Eight Race Engineering has earned so far. So last week it was Triple Eight with the team's championship lead. Now with those 3 wins from McLaughlin, it's DJR Team Penske back on top. Tickford /23 Red, the slot that had the old 23 Red team, that pair is 3rd in points with 1,730 points claimed so far. So the increments are pretty large between second, and third. Fourth is Yerbis Motorsport with the Penrite Racing Holdens, 1625 points for them. And Charles Schwartz Racing, yes, those guys with Scott Pye and Mark Winterbottom, they are fifth. They have climbed up the ladder with 1,564 points, and they will be back this weekend for the Townsville Super Sprint Part 1. There are two parts to Townsville, 2 different weekends. So Part 1 will be this weekend. Part 2 will be the following weekend, week 7 of 13, and we'll have 3 rounds 19, 20, and 21 of their 33-race tour. What else you guys have to say about McLaughlin?
McLaughlin has been good this season, proving it right now by dominating, which I don't know. Like, I know he's the one doing basically getting the points, most of those points because I never expected CTGR Team Penske getting back ahead, because I don't know where Coulthard's finishing. Don't know where he's at and where he finishes. I just don't know why Coulthard's just, it looks like he's not there. He's just running behind for some reason.
He seems to be up and down compared to McLaughlin. I mean, Coulthard has only 2 podiums this season, while Scott McLaughlin has 12. That's a 10 number difference between podiums.
Yeah.
Jeez. We'll just have to see where things go when they head to Townsville for these next 2 weekends. Obviously, for anybody else outside DJR Team Penske, it's going to come down towards Wynkoop and Van Gisbergen, especially Wynkoop. Wynkoop has a chance to get the Drivers' Championship, but Van Gisbergen needs to step it up a little.
Yeah.
Just depends what the strategy is. I've seen some of the races where his strategy's not good compared to his teammate.
Right. So let's move on. Let's talk some sports cars. This past Saturday, we had the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Challenge with the 2 GT classes racing, while the prototypes are currently in Europe, or most of them are. The GTs, where they're the GTLM and the GTD cars, the GTLM being the LM GTE spec, and the GTDs being the FIA GT3 homologation prerequisites that were met. Round 511 was at VIR for a 2-hour 40-minute event. The number 3 Corvette won a GTLM over the number 25 BMW. The 911 Porsche finished third. The number 4 Corvette fourth. The 912 Porsche fifth. And then the last place spot was the number 24 BMW, which actually suffered a retirement in 6th.
Yeah.
As for GTD, the top 5 are the number 96 Turner Motorsport BMW. And a fun fact, Bill Auberlin is now the winningest driver in IMSA competition, scoring 61 victories. He passed Scott Pruitt's record.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yep, and second was the number 86 Meyer-Shank Acura NSX. Third place was the number 48 Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini. Fourth was the number 74 Riley Motorsport Mercedes AMG. And fifth was the number 14 Ambassador Sullivan Lexus. So on September 6th, everybody will be back for the second race of the Michelin Endurance Cup. It's been a while since that happened. And that will be round 6 of 11 for the full, as for the season. As for the Michelin Endurance Cup, that is race 2 of 4, because race 3 will be Petit Le Mans, the 10-hour race at Road Orlando.
And then the last race is the 12 hours of Sebring.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about the Corvette, the new C8R, which was debuted in 2020? They're on a tear.
Yeah, that car, is proving how good Corvette racing is.
Yeah, that car is really, gosh, how do you put it now? It's really set the bar.
But here's the thing. You got to understand that these drivers, we didn't see too many changes between the drivers. And yes, we're talking about sprint races where they're excelling, but the switch from front engine to mid engine is nothing short of a challenge. Because you got to go back to the old Corvette. They had the front engine, and they were actually one of the few teams to still have it. But now things have changed.
Yeah.
But this is what really excites a lot of Corvette fanatics out there, is that the COVID-19 pandemic put a stop to a lot of races that they were supposed to run before Le Mans.
Yeah.
Now, those races were very important for testing reasons, getting that Corvette in trim to run 24 hours. It didn't really work too well at Daytona. But now these sprint races on the IMSA calendar have propelled them to levels that many people didn't expect.
Yeah, which is true.
And as for the 2020 WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, the points standings.
For the 6 hours of Road America. I almost said Road Atlanta. It is Road Atlanta. I keep getting those two.
I get that. I do too.
Road A. But what's the points look like right now?
Yes, Austin, the points. Well, we'll leave off the prototypes. We can get into them in a little bit. But as for GTLM, because they ran yesterday, it is the number 3 Corvette Racing with 165 points over the 912 Porsche with 146 points. The number 4 Corvette Racing is third with 145 points, and 2 points back and fourth is the number 911 Porsche GT team with 143, and then 2 points behind them is the number 24 BMW. So it's pretty close. The Corvette has set the bar.
Yep.
For GT Daytona, it is still the number 14 Ambassador Sullivan Lexus with 115 points, but actually it's been a tie. Now you have to understand there are another points championship on the line besides the full season. It's the WeatherTech Sprint Cup, which is the sprint races only counting towards that championship. Basically, like the Michelin Endurance Cup, but the other way around. That as for the season, they are tied with the number 86 Meyer-Shank Racing Acura NSX. Then the number 12 Ambassador Sullivan Lexus RCF GT3 is third with 108 points. So it's about a good 8-point difference there. Actually, a 9-point difference. And then an 8-point difference for the 96 Turner Motorsport BMW. That win was really important for them to propel them getting up closer towards the points lead. The number 16 Wright Motorsport Porsche with 104 points. Now, as for the Sprint Cup, which was the sprint races only, this past race counted as one. 128 points for the number 14 Ambassador Sullivan Lexus over the number 86 Meyer-Shank Racing Acura with 94 points. So the Lexus is pulling away on these sprint races. And then, of course, third with 115 points is the number 12 Ambassador Sullivan. Actually, that should change. I'm reading this wrong. But either way, the 14 Lexuses, they're gone. So, yeah, that next race, the 6 hours of Road Atlanta, that's going to be on September 6th for race 6 of 11 for the full season. As for the Michelin Endurance Cup, race 2 of 4.
6. Moving on. I had to do it. 6 hours. 6th race, September 6th.
Yep.
Naughty. All right, next.
All right, so let's get into some of the other races that happened this past weekend, and boy, they were exciting, especially this last one I'm going to get into. Let's start off with the ARCA East Series, racing the Dover 125, Sam Mayer led 21 laps to win over David Gilliland, Mason Diaz, Max McLaughlin, Drew Dollar finishing in the top 5, and then in 12th place, retiring, leading 104 laps, a frustrated Ty Gibbs. Gibbs had that thing in the bag.
Yeah, he did, until he got loose in front of Sam Mayer, and then Sam Mayer took the lead, and then lap 110, he crashed hard off turn number 2 into the wall, which really was a hard impact into the outside wall.
It was a scary one, too. It was a very unforgiving track. When the points look like this, Sam Mayer has 138 points over Ty Gibbs, who has 125. Chase Cabre really needed a good run, and unfortunately that wasn't the case. He sits third with 111 points. Parker Retzlaff with 110 points, and Nick Sanchez with 107 points in 5th. They'll be back on September 12th at Loudon, New Hampshire for round 4 of 6.
I will not be going there. Sorry, sadly enough.
I mean, you were at the Cup race, though, so.
Yeah.
As for the other ARCA Regional Series, which is the ARCA West Series, they ran at the Colorado Speedway in Erie for 150 miles, round 7 of 10. Jesse Love won, leading 144 laps. Boy, this 15-year-old is he's been racing for over 15 or 20 years. Blaine Perkins led 9 laps, finished second. Gio Scelzi third, Gracie Trotter fourth, and Jack Wood rounded out the top 5. The points look like this. It is still Jesse Love with 362 points, slowly pulling away from Blaine Perkins, but Blaine Perkins not going to let it go without a fight. 355 points. Gracie Trotter third with 326 points. Trevor Huddleston fourth, 321 points, and Gio Scelzi fifth with 319 points. And on October 10th, so these guys get a while off unless the schedule changes depending on the pandemic.
Races in the middle.
Yes, Roosevelt, California, round 8 of 10. All right, we'll get into some Wheel of Modified Tour action in Jennerstown for their second race in 2020. That was race 4 of
second race there this season.
Yeah.
Fourth overall.
Yes.
I think you got your words confused. I think that's all.
Yeah, I did. So it was Craig Lutz who won after leading 39 laps. Dave Sepinenza, I think I said his name right. Finished second, 1 lap. What's his first name? Nocella. Third.
Anthony Nocella.
Nocella third. Doug Kobe fourth, and Justin Bonsignor led 110 laps to finish 5th. 10 points separate Bonsignor from Kobe.
It's close.
Craig Lutz is there with 158 points. John McKennedy fourth with 156 points, and Dave Sepinenza fifth with 149 points. They'll be back this weekend for the what's that track's name?
I don't even remember.
Monadnock. I think it's Monadnock.
Yeah.
Thank you, Austin.
Since 2016 in Winchester, New Hampshire. I don't think I've been that far west of New Hampshire, I think. No, actually, I have that coming from New York State through Vermont. But I've never been past there. So, that's honestly a great quarter-mile track as well. So, it should be interesting of how should they drive on that track.
Yes, and speaking of tracks that are making different appearances on the Modified Tour, we saw the first race at White Mountain on the 4th of July.
Yeah, they should have gone there a long time ago. That's a perfect modified track. I don't know why they haven't been there at all since this year. 2020. That's all I gotta say.
Yep, gotta make some changes in 2020 in order to have a racing season work. Let's get into some MotoGP now. Over the weekend, we saw another red flag at the Red Bull Ring. This is the Styrian Grand Prix round 5 of 14, so the second race in Austria due to changes with the pandemic. Miguel Oliveira, a KTM rider, made one of the most unbelievable moves that anyone can make on a motorcycle in the final corner, passing both Jack Miller and Paul Espargaro on the final turn of the final lap while they were fighting each other for the win. Espargaro went wide. Jack Miller, had no idea there was Miguel Oliveira right there. And Oliveira gets his first career win riding a KTM over Jack Miller, the Ducati rider, who it looked like it was his after the red flag came out when Maverick Vinales had to throw himself off the bike when the brake failed on the front stretch, which caused a restart. Paul Espargaro, third. Obviously, I just mentioned that. Jan Mir, fourth. Andrea Dovizioso, fifth. In Ducati, and looking down the list, Alex Rins, sixth. Takaki Nakagami, seventh. Brad Binder, the young rider, in eighth. Valentino Rossi, ninth. Akira Lucena in 10th. Jeez. I have to watch that finish like 2-3 times to realize it even happened. Because usually that would end in a wreck, and you would never see something like that early in the race, only on the final lap.
Yeah.
As for points, Fabio Quartararo is now 3 points ahead of Andrea Dovizioso. Obviously, Quartararo did not have the best of races compared to his first 2 wins, which happened in Jerez in the Spanish Grand Prix and the Andalusia Grand Prix. He's had no finish better than 7th since. Czech 7th, obviously. Austria 8th, and Styria 13th. So 70 points for him. Andrea Dovizioso is 3 points back, 67 points in second. Jack Miller still searching for that win. He's third in points with 56 so far. Brad Binder, the young sensation from South Africa, who delivered KTM, Red Bull KTM, their first win, and himself the first win in Brno. Binder is fourth with 49 points and 1 point back in fifth with that horrifying crash. Maverick Vinales is fifth. He dropped down to fifth with 48 points. And as for the team standings, it's still Petronas Yamaha SRT with 102 points, almost 10 points over the Monster Energy Yamaha MotoGP with 93 points, and with 92 points, 1 point behind them is the Mission Winnow Ducati team with 92 points. Red Bull Factory KTM Racing, Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, I always say it wrong. They are fourth with 84 points. I mean, they still managed to get a third, even though getting passed by 2 bikes in the final corner of the final lap, but a home win would have been special, to say the least.
Yeah.
Team Suzuki X-Star is still fifth with 73 points, coming off a pretty decent run at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah.
As for the manufacturer standings, Yamaha 1 point over Ducati. Now, Ducati's really stepping up the game in these recent events. So 88 points, and then, of course, Ducati with 87 points. KTM, they're stepping up as well, 82 points. Suzuki, they seem fine, but on that retirement at Spain didn't help them at all. 57 points for them. Honda with 46 points in fifth, and Aprilia is sixth with 20 points. If you're not familiar with MotoGP, you get points if you finish the race.
That's interesting compared to other sports where, like F1, the top 10 get points. Same with F2, F3, Formula E. Yeah, it's different than those series.
All right, and the next race will be this weekend, the San Marino Grand Prix Misano, which will be ran at the at the Misano World Circuit, named after Marco Simoncelli, the late Marco Simoncelli, who was killed in a MotoGP crash in Malaysia almost 9 years ago. That event will be hosting this weekend for round 6 of 14. Actually, not this weekend. September 13th. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Last time I checked, this weekend's August 30th.
Yeah, so I think it's 2 weeks from now.
Okay, wait. August 30th is this weekend.
And then Emilia Romagna. Sorry to interrupt you, Justin. That's also going to be at Misano.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, you're right, Justin. I think we're about 2 weeks until September 13th. So that said, let's talk about some of the races that are coming up this weekend. We have the NASCAR Cup Series, the Daytona 400, the Coke Zero 400, round 26 to 36 is the final race of the regular season. So the regular season finale at Daytona this weekend, and also the final trip at Daytona for NASCAR as a whole. They've been there; they'll be there 3 times this season. This is their 3rd and final appearance. As for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, the Daytona 250 will be on a Friday night, round 22 of 33. The NASCAR Truck Series, the Gateway
200.
And they're companion to IndyCar, the Gateway 200, round 14 of 23. IndyCar, of course, has the Gateway 500K. That's round 8 and 9 of 12. F1 will be back for the Belgian Grand Prix at the famed Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Of course, they had endurance racing for the past 2 weekends. Now they get F1. Unfortunately, without fans, fans rarely do make up that track and what it means to be there. Round 7 of 13, Supercars. Townsville Supersprint Part 1, week 7 of 13, rounds 19, 20, and 21 of the 33 race season. As for sports cars, 2 events we'll highlight. European Le Mans Series will be back, and they'll be back again at Circuit Paul Ricard for the Le Castellet 240. Instead of Silverstone, they'll be at Le Castellet once again, round 3 of 5. And as for the House League of the NURB, which is the Nürburgring League Series, as they call it, which used to be the VLN, the lone 6-hour race of the VLN will be this weekend for round 5 of 8. Well, let's get into the fun facts about what we have this weekend. The Daytona race, the Coke Zero 400, as they call it. It used to be the 4th of July mark on the calendar. Everybody would spend the 4th of July Daytona. This is actually a race that was moved, not even because of the pandemic.
Nope.
Austin, go on about that.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which I still don't agree with that, because hurricane season as well.
We've been lucky so far.
That's so far.
Right. So obviously this is round 26-36, regular season finale. Last year, Justin Haley took the win. He won't be there to defend it this year. The first race was in 1959 in the inaugural year of the track in operation as just a 250-mile event won by Fireball Roberts, one of the original super speedway stars. And as for the most wins for a driver, David Pearson holds that with 5 over Cale Yarborough, Tony Stewart. They have 4 wins. Fireball Roberts, Richard Petty, Bobby Allison, and Jeff Gordon have 3 wins in this event. While AJ Foyt, Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt Jr., they have 2 wins at the Daytona 400. There you go with that. As for most team wins for the Coke Zero 400 at Daytona, the Wood Brothers hold that one with 9 wins. I'm telling you, they're going to be hungrier than ever to get that 10th win and that 100th win total, which will put Mac DiBenedetto into the playoffs. We'll talk more about the playoffs later on. Hendrick Motorsports with 6 wins, Roush Fenway Racing with 5, Joe Gibbs Racing with 4, Junior Johnson and Associates and Richard Childress Racing have 3 wins. Richard Petty Motorsports / Richard Petty Enterprises with 3 wins. And then these teams have 2 wins. Banjo Matthews, Ray Nichols, Dygart Motorsports, Melling Racing, Robert Yates Racing, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, Morgan McClure Motorsports, and Stuart Haas Racing. As for manufacturers at Daytona, it's a tie between Ford and Chevrolet. They have 19 wins apiece. It's a good chance one of them is going to get that 20th. Mercury, 7 wins. Dodge, Pontiac with 5, Buick with 4, and Toyota with 2. There are the numbers. Who's going to add to them this weekend? I'll let you start, Austin.
Well, you know who I'm gonna say, because he needs to be in the chase this year for his final season. Jimmy Johnson. Go to Joseph then.
Justin's contemplating his life right now, but I'm just gonna. This is the thing with Daytona. Obviously, Daytona and Talladega are 2 of the most unpredictable tracks as for ovals that are on the NASCAR schedule. Without a doubt. You must be in the draft. You must stay in the draft. You must pit without problems. You must avoid crashes that have a 90% chance of taking you out of the race because somebody that is a half a second in front of you made a mistake with someone else. Now, factor all these variables in, and you have restricted plate racing. You have super speedway racing. You have dependency on the draft. And it's been, 33 years since the first use of restrictor plates. And immediately, these drivers have been complaining about this very thing that defines these 2 tracks.
I got my pick. This driver. He's not running for a championship in the Cup Series, so that won't affect anybody. But he could have won the Daytona 500 this year, but ended up crashing out with 2 laps to go. This driver drives the number 77 Ross Chastain.
That's not a bad prediction at all.
Yep, he's going to have the Ganassi equipment. Because, when Ross is in the car, there's Ganassi equipment, which really helps with the 77 team.
Austin, I want to hear your predictions before I go any further.
Well, I may have misheard what you asked me before, but I'll say it once, say it again. It'll still be Jimmy Johnson.
Yes, I just wanted you to reassure that my prediction to win this race, and it's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, but how could you not say no to this driver? He almost won at Talladega this year. He's got a win at Talladega and at Daytona, both in the same year for a different team. And you know what?
I know who
when
it
it comes
is.
to a track like this, he is always someone to expect to finish in the top 5. He must win this race, or he has
I know.
the championship. That is Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Oh, jeez.
He's going to drive elbows out for sure.
Oh, okay. I know Ian's not going to like that pick.
Yes, Ian Perez, 48. Give him a subscribe. But let's list some other drivers, because we can't just lay on one to determine who's going to win this thing. Teams like Front Row Motorsports, Doherty Racing, Roush, Fenway Racing, just to name a few. Levine Family Racing, of course, with the single car teams. Germain, Go Fast. They're all going to have some equal chances to win this thing. Break into the playoffs. Just look at the drivers beneath Eric Jones in points. They are from Eric Jones to Ryan Preece. They are all mathematically able to make the playoffs by finishing first at Daytona. That's all it takes. Those drivers beneath Christopher Bell are Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Michael McDowell, Ryan Newman, John Hunter Nemechek, Ty Dillon, Matt Kenseth, Corey LaJoie, and Ryan Preece.
Yeah. They do have a chance because it's Daytona. But, like, other than, like, my pick, but, like, a driver that really performed at the restrictor plate in the 2 restrictor plate races we ran so far, this driver got top 10s in both of his restrictor plates this season. Chris Buescher, he got 3rd at Daytona and got a top 10 at Talladega. Like, he's always there. At the plate tracks, he's always there. Up front.
You know, it's tough. It's really tough to look at one driver and say,
yeah,
that's the one. That's the driver who can go to victory lane in these circumstances.
Yeah, like, I actually saw, which is an interesting stat, kind of, that Joey Gase has a better average finish than Chase Elliott at Daytona. That's kind of interesting. Because I've seen Chase Elliott lead at Daytona, but...
And that's nothing against you, Joey, if you're watching.
Yeah.
Because
no, like...
the thing is that Joey Gase is driving in one of the back half of the power when it comes to teams and Rick Ware Racing. He finished 21st in the 500 this year based off avoiding all the big wrecks.
Yeah, and like Rick Ware Racing doesn't have the best speed, which is a real fact. If people are,
who knows what they have in their sleeves? Maybe a lot of these smaller teams save up money and equipment just for these races, knowing that they have a chance to crack top 15, get a top 10 or better.
Another one of those, the 62, Brennan Gaughan. I've seen him run up front at these plate tracks. Like, remember Talladega last year? He was about to take the lead, but ended up crashing.
Which, like, I was like pulling for him. I think we all were.
Yeah, like, that's his number. Yeah, like, Beard Motorsports, that team. I've seen him 2017. He also did good. Like, if you see Brennan Gaughan with Beard Motorsports at a restrictor plate, don't count them out.
And they get help from Richard Childress Racing, too.
Yep, those engines, which really helps the speed of that 62, which don't count them out because you're going to see them.
They're there for one reason and one reason only, to win.
Yep.
And it's gonna come down to the very end, as we saw from the Daytona 500 this year, and as we saw from even last year, a big one determined the race. But yeah, I guess weather had something to do with it as well. Who knows what's next?
Yeah,
this track has a lot of tricks they like to play. Let's move on and talk NASCAR for the Xfinity Series. Friday night I'll be racing for 250 miles at Daytona for the Daytona 250. It's actually sponsored by Wawa this year.
Yep.
Ross Chastain won the race last year, and the first race was in 2002, won by Joe Nemechek. One driver has multiple victories at 3, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's surprised, not me. As for teams with most wins, 3 teams are on that list, and 2 of them can actually bypass one of them. That would be obviously Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, no longer in business, but these 2 teams are going to field cars for this weekend: Joe Gibbs Racing and Richard Childress Racing. And as for 2 wins, Biaggi Dembeste Racing and Junior Motorsports. So yeah, shows you the variety variety. I said it right. The variety of racing at Daytona. As for manufacturers, best believe you want to drive a Chevy, they have almost 10 more wins than any other of the manufacturers that have won at Daytona in the 250-mile event. 12 wins over Toyota with 3 wins. Toyota 3 wins, that then Ford with 2 wins, and 1 win for the first ever race with Pontiac and Joe Nemechek back in 2002. So let's obviously know that there are 5 races left in the Xfinity Series regular season, so they're not going to be as desperate and in need to get that win. But it doesn't mean that we're not going to see that kind of aggression at Daytona. Who's going to win that race? Justin, I'll start with you.
Okay, my pick. This driver, he has 1 win at Daytona, which was last year in February. My pick, driver the number 1, Michael Annett, will win at Daytona.
Austin, you're up.
Oh, wow, that's... I wasn't really expecting that, but he drives for. I'm gonna mispronounce this. Kalugi Racing. I think that's how I say it.
Colleague Racing.
They've been big, mainly on the super speedways, but have been good on other tracks as well. I think they go at least 1-2 with Justin Haley winning.
It's not surprising at all. And in fact, they brought AJ Allmendinger once again. And those 3 physically finished 1-2, even though Allmendinger got axed in post-race tech.
Yeah.
They're going to work together without a doubt. We saw what they did last year. I guess the field needs to split them up to have any chance to beat them. But here's the thing. Let's not forget, there are teams who are basically mark this one race on the calendar knowing they have a shot to win just like anyone else. Obviously, RSS Racing is the first team to come to mind here. But then what about our motorsports? They've been banking on these great finishes with drivers outperforming their equipment. Brett Moffitt will be in the O2 on Friday. Don't count him out. What about a driver like Daniel Hemrick? I know he's in a junior motorsports car, but this could be his race. What about Myatt Snyder? Now, I know it's not as good as an RCR car, but he did qualify first during the 300-mile race in February.
Yeah, and he's driving for RSS.
For this race, my pick to go to victory lane will be Ryan Sieg. It'll be special. His first win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Another great pick.
Yep.
All right, let's move on west to Gateway. We'll be talking about these events here shortly. The NASCAR Truck Series, racing the Gateway 200 for round 14 of 23. They have 3 races left in their regular season. It's actually their first standalone of the season. I think of it. Last year was won by Ross Chastain. He won't be there to defend it this year.
Yeah.
The first race was in 1998. Rick Corelli took the win at Gateway. Ted Musgrave is the only driver to have multiple wins at 2. As for most team wins, these 3 teams, one of them is active, have that accolade. Ultra Motorsports, Kevin Harvick Incorporated, and Kyle Busch Motorsports. As for manufacturers, Chevy 9 wins over Toyota with 5, Dodge with 3, and 2 for Ford. So yeah, there you have it. 35 trucks on the entry list. Who's going to finish first?
simply enough, I don't think there's only been one time there's been a two-time winner at Gateway, and I do believe I need to remember myself for just a sec. I think did Crafton won a race there before? I don't remember. I know he's made a bunch of enemies in 2009 when they raced
Yes,
there.
he did.
And I'm still waiting for that race to be put up on YouTube again. But anyways, long shot or not, Matt Crafton will win at Gateway. No, he hasn't won at Gateway, but I'm still picking him.
Okay. Whew. Okay. My pick, this driver, he ran one Gateway race last year. He got 4th. This year, he's going to get the driver of the number 51, Chandler Smith, is going to get his first career truck win.
I think that's going to really be a good one. I'm with you on that. Chandler Smith is going to get the win, but I think he's going to have to fight off Christian Eckes to do it.
Yeah, after last race that Chandler Smith was not happy with teammate Christian Eckes there.
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. All right, let's stay on Gateway for a moment. The IndyCar series will have 2 races at Gateway, one race on Friday, one race on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Last year, Takuma Sato, yes, the Indy 500 winner, won that event. The first race was won by Paul Tracy in 1997. There is no multiple winner, so I'm going to list you down the drivers who have won, as there have been some increments between years when this track has been put on the schedule. So obviously, Paul Tracy won the first event, and then in 1998, Alex Zanardi won for Chip Ganassi. Michael Andretti won in 1999 for Paul Newman and Carl Haas. Juan Montoya won in 2000 for Ganassi, and then in 2001, it was taken over by the IRL, and the calendar won by Alonso Jr. for Gauss Racing. 2002 and 2003 were both Penske victories for Gil DeFerrin and Elio Castroneves, and then never to be seen again until 2017, Joseph Newgarden and Will Power for Team Penske, and then last year Takuma Sato for Rahal Lemon Lanigan Racing. So as for most wins by team Penske with 5 victories. In fact, 4 of them were consecutive. And then, of course, the first one with Paul Tracy in 97. Chip Ganassi Racing has 2 wins in 1998 with Zanardi and with Montoya in 2000. As for engine wins, Chevy has 3 wins over Honda and Toyota. Honda and Toyota 2 wins. Obviously, the rest of them are not involved anymore. 1 win for Oldsmobile, Ford Cosworth, and Mercedes-Benz. So there are your facts. There are 2 races. Will we see a weekend sweep?
You okay, Joseph?
I'm fine. I'm just letting you guys make your prediction.
I thought you lagged out for a sec.
I turned off my camera.
So
it's back on now.
Sorry about that.
Who wants to start? I'm not just giving my prediction away.
It's always nice if the. Nope, never mind.
Okay, I'm just gonna give it away.
Big long shot. If you're gonna ask us to include both race 1 and race 2.
Yeah.
Big long shot. Marco Andretti. Yeah, I said it. Wins race 1. And Joseph Newgarden race 2.
Okay. Best believe you want to drive a Penske to win at gateway. I don't know why Royal American came to mind here. But Penske has won 5 times here. And if Sato didn't win it instead of a Penske driver won last year, then the streak would have continued and they would have 6 wins total. But I'm going to go with Simon Pagenaud. He's going to win race 1. And race 2 will be Will Power.
Okay, my picks. Race 1. This driver almost won last year. He didn't have the best Indy 500. Ed Carpenter will win race 1. And Joseph Newgarden is going to win race number 2.
Colton Herta, Joseph Newgarden. Okay, that sounds right.
Yeah.
How about you, Austin?
I already gave my both of these.
You only gave race 1, Marco Andretti.
No, he said Newgarden for race 2.
Oh, yes. Apologies. With that said, let's go ahead and talk about Formula One. The Belgian Grand Prix at the famous Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium will be round 7 of the 2020 Formula One World Championship. The first race was ran back in 1951 by Juan Manuel Fangio in the inaugural World Championship. Last year, Charles Leclerc won the race. It was his first career win. So 2 wins in 2019 end of his career racing for Ferrari. Last year, of course, it was Leclerc. As for most wins, Michael Schumacher, 6 wins in the Belgian Grand Prix over Ayrton Senna with 5 wins. And guess what? 4 of them were consecutive from 1988 to 1991.
Wow.
1985. That's something. Jim Clark has 4 wins. And they were all consecutive, by the way. Kimi Räikkönen, 4 wins for the Iceman. And then as for Juan Manuel Fangio, he won 3, including the very first in 1950. Damon Hill, 3 wins, including that that popular win in 98 for Jordan.
Oh, that one.
Yes, and those back-to-back wins he had for Williams, 93 and 94. Alberto Ascari, 2 wins. They were back-to-back. It seems like we have a trend of back-to-back wins at the Belgian Grand Prix. Ferrari. Emerson Fittipaldi won, but that race was in Nivelles.
Okay.
Track in Belgium. Yeah, not all of the Belgian Grand Prix were ran in Spa. In fact, some years Spa was part of the European Grand Prix. Niki Lauda and Alain Prost, 2 wins in the Belgian Grand Prix as well. For Lauda, they were in Zolder, and for Prost, it was at Spa. All right. As for constructors, Ferrari, 18 wins over McLaren. McLaren, 14 wins. Lotus with 8. Mercedes and Williams with 4 apiece. Red Bull with 3. Alfa Romeo and Benetton with 2. So, with those numbers, what does this leave it?
This is so hard. This is so hard to pick. This driver, he has the most podiums in F1. Cough, cough, Lewis Hamilton.
I'm going to go with Lewis Hamilton.
Why am I not surprised? And I'm going to keep saying this driver until the season is over, and I don't care what you think. Kimi Räikkönen.
All right. Fine. What about drivers that could maybe get a podium or spots on a podium that are different teams.
Whoa.
Instead of Raikkonen. Raikkonen still has 0 points this year. Sorry, Austin.
Wow.
Again, I don't care.
What about Sebastian Vettel?
I don't know.
I know it's probably not his year.
Well, the thing is, the thing about Spa, you need, like, through the corners, you want to be fast. There's corners where you go full throttle. Ferrari is not fast, which I think they said again they have new upgrades. If those upgrades didn't work, they're not upgrading the car. Like you don't want a slow car because if you're slow on the straights and the high pace corners, you're not going to be fast through the slow corners. It's like stuff like that. Like Mercedes is fast. You also have Red Bull. Red Bull is fast compared to Ferrari. Like McLaren has been decent also this year. Renault has been up and down. You also have Racing Point. Racing Point has been also there.
I think Paris can really benefit off of a strong points race.
Yeah, but you have Albon that could get a good finish. Verstappen could probably have a better finish than last year, where he DNF'd on lap 1.
It's not going to really get on. I think, remember, last year this was Albon's first race in a Red Bull.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that. Yeah, it was his first race.
And he did very well. Finished in 5th at debut with Red Bull.
Yeah.
I think the best team, is actually going to be McLaren. And I'll tell you why. They have the best drivers when it comes to aggression, and good aggression, not aggression where we're going to see wheels touch. When it comes to drivers like Sergio Perez and Lando Norris, they have a lot of credibility to finish the race in a point spot. And if you look at the World Constructors Championship, McLaren is 1 point behind Racing Point. Their Racing Point at 63. Wow. McLaren at 62.
Wow.
Ferrari at 61, but Ferrari seems to be a one-man team. It's like driving with a big rock behind your car, slowing you down.
Well, Ferrari, that's a different story because people have been, Ferrari, they try something new. They say they get upgrades. It looks like they downgraded the car when they say they get upgrades. Or, like people did for a joke, put when Leclerc was stopped on the track, they put a McDonald's drive-thru for a joke that he was parked there. Just Ferrari. It's Ferrari, they're not going to be fast like McLaren and Red Bull like the other teams, but McLaren could be fast. But you also have Red Bull and Racing Point. Racing Point has a faster car. They might be fast on the straights. You gotta, Spa's a different type of track compared to
your usual tilk tracks.
Usually some tracks have a couple straights. About Spa, there's the final corner and turn 1 are slow corners to take. Most of the track has fast corners. You gotta have a fast car to get through the corners right. Because some cars with no pace are not gonna go through the corners as fast compared to the cars like the Mercedes cars.
Right. It's going to be interesting. Last year's Belgian Grand Prix was pretty eventful.
Yeah.
I think we're expecting the same for this time.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a hard time for some of these drivers, especially ones who were in contact and friends with Antoine Hubert. Last year, Antoine Hubert lost his life in a Formula 2 crash during that weekend, and it really it struck the racing world. That was just, it was horrible. As a race fan, we take safety for granted, and then especially now because these horrible crashes happen, or the outcomes of these crashes just we don't see them as much as we used to.
Yeah. And also about that, there's some F2 drivers that are still thinking about that in the back of their mind, because last time they say, oh my gosh, wrong series.
Formula 2.
The Formula 2, like their race both races got called off because of it. They're still thinking about that accident.
It's just a reality check. You go in a race car, there's always a risk, and obviously, the improvements have been good with the Halo device.
Yeah,
seeing that Halo device, especially if you remember the 2018 Spanish Grand Prix, the first year with the Halo device.
Spanish, it was Belgium.
Belgian Grand Prix. Jesus.
But the race that
Charles Leclerc had the Halo device. Sorry to cut you off.
And Fernando Alonso went on top of him after contact with Hülkenberg, which, the Halo device really protected him, because it would have been worse without it.
Yes. All right, let's talk about supercars. I know we have supercars this weekend for the Townsville Supersprint, which is this weekend. There are two parts. This is part one of the Townsville Supersprint. Part two will be the following weekend, round 7 to 13, weekend 7 to 13 rounds, 19, 20, and 21 of 33 races. And obviously last year, Shane Van Gisbergen and Scott McLaughlin won the events. That was the Townsville 400 then. First race was won by Jamie Whincup in 2009. Jamie Whincup and James Courtney won both races respectively. Most wins, Jamie Whincup with 10 over Garth Tanner, Mark Winterbottom, and Shane Van Gisbergen. They have 3, and Scott McLaughlin with 2. As for team wins, Triple Eight Race Engineering with 13 over Pro Drive Racing Australia, Holden Racing Team and DJR Team Penske, also known back then as Dick Johnson Racing, 3 wins. Manufacturers, Holden has the upper end on this one, 15 wins over Ford with 8 wins. All right, this time around we have 3 races.
Okay.
I'm just going to make it simple. Scott McLaughlin.
I'm going to have Scott McLaughlin race 1 and 2. Van Gisbergen race 3.
All right, sounds like it.
It's not like NASCAR. We're like, we're going to pick. There's so many people here. McLaughlin. It's like so easy.
It's coming to the point where Scott McLaughlin make everything look easy.
Well, they should rename the series the Scott McLaughlin.
I mean, they rumors that he's leaving next year.
Yeah.
To go to North America. What does that mean? We'll have to find out. As for sports car, the European Le Mans Series has the Le Castel 240, 3 of 5. I don't know if there's an entry list yet on that one.
Let me do Europe. Oh, come on. Just checking. Just
the entry lists there. Just give me a
come on.
second.
You have found it.
All right, send it over. All right, thanks. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah.
One thing, is that the prototypes, so obviously they're not in North America right now. IMSA Weather Tech Championship only had GT cars, and September 13th is where the next race is. But But yeah, the entry list. There are 40 entries.
Huh. That's a good number of cars here.
I think for LMP2, well, United Autosports has just been spectacular, winning both the ELMS and the WEC races at Spa, the 4 hours and 6 hours. Basically, they're and in the 2020 European Le Mans Series season, which has been United Autosports 1 and 2, it would only be appropriate for me to predict that they are going to win again. Phil Hansen, Felipe Albuquerque. What do you got?
Okay, my pick is the number 31 Canis Racing car driven by let me check his name. Julian Canal is one of the drivers. Oh, come on, the 31 Canis Racing. Julian Canal, Nick Jamin, and Will Stevens.
Yeah, you got a former F1 driver actually owning the team, and former F1 driver in the car, so that's actually pretty good. As for LMP3, I know LMP3 is a little tough on that prediction. I think the number 9 Graph is going to win this one. The Inter Europos are back, so there's that.
Okay. My pick is the number... The number 10 Nielsen racing car driven by people that I don't know.
Yeah, I know LMP3 drivers usually are amateur drivers, so you don't really understand who they are.
Well, the entry list just puts the first letter and last name. That's why I don't know their first name. Yeah, I'm picking the number 10 Nielsen racing car.
As for GT, I'm going to go with the number 77 Dempsey Proton Racing Porsche. Just make your GT prediction. Okay. We'll get through this.
My pick is the number 93 Proton Competition. Yeah, the number 93 is my pick.
All right, that's that. The NLS race this weekend, I would have no idea who's going to be on the entries because they fluctuate. Usually it's just amateurs trying to get licensed to race in the 24 hours of Nürburgring.
Yeah.
So there's that. Also, let's talk about a few other things. I know that we've seen news about the new next-gen NASCAR Cup car. They're supposed to have another test session this week at Dover. Cole Custer, one of the 2020 rookies, will be behind the wheel of that car. So we'll keep posted on that. Obviously, that car will debut in 2022. It's supposed to debut next year, but that will pull off
the pandemic.
A single nut.
Yeah. The car weight is different, and it's going to be interesting.
I think we're also supposed to have air jacks. No, not yet. Not yet. I meant
No.
I'm talking. I didn't mean air jacks. I meant the fuel hose being put on the top of the car, like you see in open wheel racing.
Yeah, not like fuel cans, like, because people say fuel cans are better. Like the thing about the the fuel cans. Well, people say the fuel hose looks weird, but I've seen people running with fuel cans, and the thing about fuel cans, it's kind of sometimes hard to put it in the nozzle,
and it's pricey compared to a fuel hose, but you don't have to.
And it's heavy. A fuel hose is less heavy than a fuel can. So fuel hose would be really interesting.
And we'll see a sequential transmission. It's a 5-speed sequential.
Yeah, it's not like the 4 of NASCAR, which is like the H pattern shifter that you have, which is only 4 gears, but 5 is going to be really interesting.
The H pattern we have sequential. I think it's a gear. It's a lever like they do in cars. Not paddles.
Yeah. No, it's not paddles like an F1 or Indy car. It's not that. We're not there.
It's a lever you just push up or pull down.
Yeah.
All right. Also, Williams in Formula One. Williams has announced that they will sell their Formula One team to a private U.S. Investment firm. There's more news that are supposed to come out about that, which I think it'd be interesting. Obviously, the team is now in those of Claire Williams, not Sir Frank Williams anymore. As for more NASCAR news, NASCAR will open a dedicated channel on motorsport.tv, which is for those in the UK who watch NASCAR. That's pretty good news for you guys there. You get a dedicated NASCAR channel.
Yeah, compared to what they currently have which their current network with Premier Sport only shows some cup races and highlights for Truck and Xfinity. So that would be good for having motorsport.tv for those fans that want to get into the sport.
Right. I know there was a time in the late 2000s when Sky Sports did NASCAR, and from 2008 to 2009.
Yeah. Then
that.
Yeah,
all right. What were you saying there, Justin?
I was saying about Premier Sport. They're the ones that are currently doing it, but while some of those races, they don't show all the races, and they show highlights for the Xfinity and trucks. But having that for the people in the UK would be really nice for those people.
Yeah, they have increased a lot of fans over there, especially when you get former F1 drivers like Montoya coming into the sport. I guess that brought interested. We'll have to see where this goes. Well, big week in motorsport, another one coming. Thank you for watching Below the O-Line podcast. For my partners, Austin LaPlante, Daniel Fort, Justin Heber, I'm Julian Palla, signing off. Have a good one.